Welcome into Palmetto Sports Daily on this fine Friday afternoon. Caroline Soro and Ella Grogan here somewhere on the highway up to North Carolina for Panthers Fan Fest. We are joined by Kevin Bilodeau there in Charleston and Rick Henry in Columbia, of course. And guys, I mentioned Fan Fest. Football season is almost here. It's really hard to believe after the summer. It feels like everything has just kind of flown by so far this summer, but the Carolina Panthers are having training camp going on. They got that kicked off last week, and they're kind of in the middle of it right now. They have their Fan Fest, which is a little bit of a showcase that they put on in Bank of America Stadium in front of fans, which is really interesting because right now some of their fans are not able to watch training camp like a lot of the other NFL teams because there's a lot of construction going on. They're building stuff out by the Panthers' new practice field that's just kind of adjacent to Bank of America Stadium. So this is going to be the fans' first look at this new team, aside from what they've seen floating around online and on social media and all of that good stuff. And as we know, just before we kind of get into the rest of Fan Fest, the Panthers have had an interesting go of training camp so far. They've had 3 players who have been carted off the field over the course of training camp, and they haven't even gotten through their second full week. So one of their promising second-year players, Nick Scorton, was carted off when I was there at camp last Thursday. He suffered a season-ending ACL tear, which was just devastating for him and for this Carolina defense that was poised to have a great season coming off a strong finish at the end of last year. They also had Mitchell Evans, their tight end, was carted off a few days ago at practice as well. He is hopefully going to be all right. I believe it was just a bit of an ankle sprain there, so Dave Canales is hopeful that he'll be able to make a return before too long. And then yesterday, their promising rookie wide receiver Chris Brazzell suffered what appeared to be a season-ending LCL tear, and I don't think the tear itself was season-ending, but I believe that the surgery he's going to undergo is going to put him out for the season. They just thought that that was going to be the best for his future based on reporting that's been floating around from some of the Panthers and people that are close to the Panthers. So really tough go at camp so far. There have been some bright spots though. Quarterback Bryce Young has he's excelled in camp so far. We saw a couple touchdown passes when we were out there earlier this week up in Charlotte, up in camp. So a lot of the receivers, Tedero and McMillan's been looking pretty good. He had a little bit of an injury going on during OTAs. So there's a lot of excitement still kind of in the midst of maybe some of those disappointing injuries that has the IR looking a little stacked for Carolina right now. But all of these guys are just excited to get back in front of fans and show them what they can do. And we talked to the team about that earlier this week. So here's those guys talking about Fan Fest.
That's awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to be out there in front of fans, let them see the work that we've put in all off season, and just to be able to interact with them, see the smiles on their faces, allow them to have fun while we get to work. It's a pretty amazing feeling.
The last couple of years, there's been a really great showing there. And we try to simulate a game as much as possible, and I love that. It's a challenge on me to try to make sure I throw different situations at guys, place the ball in different spots. We'll have special teams. There'll be a couple of trick plays on offense, on special teams, some things that we've been kind of cooking up in secret, not telling the other side about it. So the defense has some pressures that they got up their sleeve as well. So just a couple of things to keep it exciting, and hope that anybody who's listening comes out and supports. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Supposed to be a nice sunny day up in Charlotte, so hopefully there are going to be a lot of fans out there. But Kevin, Rick, just want to ask both you guys, because I know you've been following this team for many years. It feels like there's a lot of buzz around this team that hasn't been there in a long time, probably because of the way that they rounded out last season, hosting a playoff game for the first time in 10 years. So, Kevin, I'll start with you. Just does it feel different maybe this offseason for this Panthers team? I mean, does it feel like this is a different team with maybe different expectations that's taking the field tonight in Charlotte?
Certainly for the first time in the last several years, because the last couple of years we've gone into this season, we've just been hoping that they didn't put up a goose egg in the win column. Once Bryce Young took over, and then his second year, we were very down on this team going into last year. The expectations are much higher this year coming off a trip to the playoffs. Things I'm looking forward to and want to pay attention to over the next couple of weeks before the season gets started. First off is Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle, their first-round pick, a Charleston native. You know, you mentioned the injuries the team has had in the preseason so far. 2 of them have been to their starting tackle. So Freeling, who I think they were hoping to bring along kind of slowly after he really only started for 1 year at Georgia, he's getting thrust right in to that starting spot on the offensive line. So I want to see how he responds. The other one, Rick, is former Gamecock Xavier Legette. We mentioned the injury to one of the rookie wide receivers. It feels like for Legette, this might be his last real chance to make an impact on this team before, you know, they have to make a decision on whether they're going to offer him an extension or whether they're going to just move on from him. And, you know, they've already got their number 1 with Ted McMillan. So is there a spot for Legette in this wide receiver rotation, and is he going to be able to contribute this year?
Yeah, he's got a nice opportunity now. Unfortunately, because of you know, the injuries that the Panthers are experiencing, and I've got a feeling like X really needs to produce before he's shown the exit there in Charlotte. So if he can just find a way to step up his game, improve his route running, hey, and let's not drop too many passes. You don't expect a receiver to be perfect, but it can't be a problem where people are noticing that, hey, you know, that guy, he just can't hold on to, you know, a lot of passes. So, yeah, we'll be watching the X-Man. Hey, and I'm excited for Monroe Freeling because to have this opportunity as a rookie and with his size, and he's getting some good reviews so far, so it would be great if he can crack the starting lineup. And, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of buzz in the preseason for the Panthers because when you come off 2-win, 4-win seasons, you go in hoping you can win more games than they did last year. But now they made the playoffs. Bryce Young, he's making progress. You hope he will continue to make progress. So, yeah, the Carolina Panthers, it's nice to see people excited about them.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I mean, just real quick on the subject of Monroe Freeling, I mean, I think it's so interesting. Kevin, you mentioned he only started for 1 year at Georgia, but he was predominantly over on the left side, which I hear, you know, I clearly have never been an offensive tackle, so I wouldn't know, but I hear that playing on the left side is a lot more difficult than playing on the right side. And right now they're working him over into the right side, and they feel like he's been excelling there. Rob Hunt, one of their veterans, told him over the offseason, was like, hey, you come over on the right side with me, we're going to have some fun, like was kind of trying to get him over to get some reps him on the right side. And then he's got a really good shot at, you know, stepping up, and they need him now with Taylor Moton not playing for the indefinite future. We're not really sure. Hopefully we'll have an update on that here sometime in the near future. But guys, we're going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to talk a little more ball right after this break.
And welcome back to this Friday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. In our opening segment, talking about the Carolina Panthers and their Fan Fest. We're going to talk some Gamecock football right now. Yesterday, USC head coach Shane Beamer hosted the 6th annual Birdies for Beamer, or Birdies with Beamer media golf tournament. Producer Nick and I teamed up, and we played with a couple of staff members. That's Ben Burris right there, and also Rex Hogan. And we missed that birdie putt right there, but I won closest to the pin on that par 3, and there I am picking up my prize, a dozen golf balls that helped replace some of the balls I lost over the course of the day. Now, Shane doesn't play himself. He rides around. He visits with people. Now, following the golf tournament, Shane held a press conference, and here's Shane talking about how he's grown over the past 5 years as a head coach, and he looks ahead to the start of preseason camp.
Surround yourself with great people, you know, players, coaches, staff, and certainly have done that with the coaching staff that we have this year. I wouldn't say one thing that stands out, David. I think it's just you understand kind of what's coming now. You know, you always think you're prepared for the role of being a head coach, and you can prepare in so many ways, but until you actually sit in that chair, you have no idea all the things that come across that desk and the things that you have to, you know, get to manage and deal with. And now 5 years in, there's not much that happens that hasn't already happened or that's unexpected maybe. There's always unexpected things, don't get me wrong, but just having a better understanding of kind of what's coming next and how to prepare throughout the year is probably where I've grown the most in my time. Yeah, there's a lot when you go through all the different positions. I mean, I think the first thing for us is, we're coming out of the summer where you've done everything in the weight room, and then you get on the field and you're actually practicing football. It's different. And how our guys, I know they're going to be in great shape, but just acclimating to a football practice and how they handle the, physical demands of that. We've got some guys that I'm excited to see early that weren't here for spring practice, whether it be from transfer portal guys that we added or high school recruits that didn't sign with us but weren't here in spring practice. Eager to see them. Really pleased with the summers all those new guys have had, but looking forward to seeing that early on. And then really just, Jack, all the competitive battles we have at every position and what that receiver room is going to look like and who kind of separates himself, the depth at the safety position.
Okay, now going back to the golf tournament, Birdies with Beamer. Producer Nick, our team finished 4 under, 68, respectful, but the winning score was 53, 19 under par. And here's the big shock. Sterling Sharp's team didn't win. I think he's won it like 4 years in a row. They finished tied at 53, and Sterling's team lost on a scorecard playoff. So that was the big news for the golf tournament. So, Kevin, your thoughts on Shane there as he gets ready to go into the preseason for his 6th year as the leader of the Garnet and Black?
Well, Rick, the biggest surprise for me was actually during the golf tournament yesterday when producer Nick texted me and just told me how he was carrying your team for the majority of the round. And I was surprised that you would even put up with something like that.
Well, he's in my ear going, that's not true.
No.
That's not true. Hey, look,
I've got the text
none
to
of
prove
us
it.
really none of us really carried the team because we all had some great shots. We all had some terrible shots, but it was a great day on the golf course. We had a fun bunch. And that blasphemy about producer Nick.
Kevin
Come on,
stirring the pot.
Kevin.
Now, the thing that I've really been impressed with Beamer so far this offseason and as we go into the season is how he really understands the position he's in. Most coaches, if they're in this spot where they're pretty much going in on the hot seat and, a tough start could lead to his dismissal, they kind of avoid that and say they're just focused on what's ahead. Shane's acknowledged that he knows that he needs a winning season this year. He knows they need to make a trip to a bowl game and they need to have some kind of success and take a step up as a program for him to remain in this job. So I think that's been kind of refreshing, Caroline, to see a guy who has an understanding and is willing to talk about the point he's at in his career right now.
Yeah, I think to your point, there's something to be said for somebody that's just, upfront, transparent, authentic about it. Because if you're a fan and you're sitting at home and, your head coach is talking about other things, right, and not taking accountability, that kind of rubs you the wrong way, So I think that there's something to be said for taking accountability, knowing what needs to happen, and then trying to go out there and have a realistic perspective and get it done. And I think the other thing that's been interesting to listen to, just as we've had, ACC kickoff and SEC kickoff and all of the things, like the way that a lot of these coaches, both, Coach Shane Beamer and Coach Jabo Sweeney, like the way that they've just kind of talked about the difficulties of being a head coach in this current day and age, whether that's in context of the transfer portal or the way that Coach Beamer's talking about it, of having to measure up to this expectation, things that he has learned, like even from a non-fan perspective, any perspective. I appreciate that because, again, it shows human element, it shows accountability, it shows that they know exactly what needs to happen, and they also know they're very aware of what didn't happen. So I think putting that into action is going to be the biggest thing for Coach Beamer, because that's something that this team has struggled to do. We saw last season, it's like the energy and the effort and everything else is there. It just didn't translate to what should have happened on paper on the field last year. So I think that this is a really pivotal year, as stating the obvious there, but it also could, what's not to like with Lenore Sellers coming back. I mean, that's a marriage between him and Beamer that's gone well for the most part outside of what happened last season. So there's a lot that needs to get done, Rick, but I think that this is maybe the most positive things have felt for the Gamecocks, maybe by some comparison to how things ended last season. Like, would you agree with that? Disagree with that?
Well, what I want to say is that Shane realizes that, he's just being totally honest, that coaches are hired to be fired, and especially in this era of NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, you can be 2 years removed from winning a national championship, and you could find yourself out of a job. So I respect and admire Shane for his honesty and transparency there. All right, we're going to take a quick time out, and we'll be right back with more on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily, and as we wait for Clemson and South Carolina and Coastal Carolina to kick off practice next week, this week we've already got some of the smaller schools kicking things off, including over at Charleston Southern, with the Buccaneers beginning their preseason practice this past Monday. Looking to be a big season for CSU as they come off a 5-7 year in Gabe Gardenia's third season as the head coach at CSU. Had 4 conference wins last season. That was the double the amount of conference wins the team had in their first 2 seasons under Gardenia. So definitely taking a step in the right direction last season. This year they were playing exclusively in the Ohio Valley Conference as the division between the OVC and the Big South. Now they're just playing under one OVC label, so CSU making that move this offseason. Still, though, a lot of excitement, a very senior-laden defense that they bring back this year. And Gabe Gardenia knows they're going to have to rely heavily on that, at least early on, to help them pick up a couple of wins.
I just like the way that we're practicing. We're making a mistake here or there, but we're practicing the right way. We're really flying around the field. It's been physical. We're staying off the ground, which is great. We just look mature. We look hungry. We look like we're able to sustain performance right now, which is, I think, something that we're really trying to hone in on our team.
Family oriented, so everyone's really close, but everyone's super excited to get out there. We got a Thursday night game, week 0 against Lindenwood, so vibes are high, competition's flowing, so everyone's super excited to get going after it.
Bucks actually have one of the first games in the country. They play August 27th, that Thursday night game. As he mentioned, they'll go on the road to take on Lindenwood. Now, as for the Citadel, the Bulldogs actually kicking off this afternoon, or this morning, I should say, as they begin their next season under head coach Maurice Drayton, his 4th season with the Bulldogs as well. And took a little bit of a step back last season, finishing 4-8 after going 5-7 the year before. But a little bit of consistency at least now after going winless in that first season under Drayton. So things looking to be going more in the right direction this year. They have the first team SoCon preseason quarterback in Quentin Hayes taking snaps under center this year. So a lot of expectations for that offense. You got to see what's coming back on the defense for this year as well. But Maurice Drayton always excited to get back to work.
Yeah, we're very excited. Anytime you get on the grass during this phase of football, you're excited about it. These young men have worked very hard in the off season. We've assembled a team that I think you're going to be very proud of. This team has already exhibited this summer toughness, discipline, and now what we're working on is that connection point, connectivity. You'll hear me talk a lot about that during camp. Just gaining that connection. With rosters being limited now, with the way football's going, with so many new pieces, that's the element that you're going to have to be able to bridge pretty quickly to be successful.
And the Bulldogs getting ready to kick things off. They'll take on Wofford on the road on August 29th. That's Saturday as they kick off the season. Unbelievably, just 4 weeks from tomorrow, Rick.
Kevin, I'm trying to, grasp the fact that you said Charleston Southern, they are in the Ohio Valley Conference. What other schools are in that league?
Putting me on the spot here. So Lindenwood, so that'll be a conference game when they open things up that Thursday night, August 27th. There's like 5 teams from Illinois. I think East Illinois and maybe Northern Illinois, probably a Central Illinois. Who knows? There's way too many schools up there. But yeah, it was a designed partnership between the OVC and the Big South for a couple of years that they had, and for some reason they just decided the Big South didn't need to be a part of that, mostly because I think there's only 3 or 4 actual Big South teams that still play football. So now they've just kind of wandered over into this Ohio Valley Conference going forward.
Man, that's going to bust the travel budget, isn't it? Wow.
It's not ideal, but I mean, they get to keep playing football, and so for at least for right now, this is the best move for them going forward. Hopefully, I would love to see CSU make a move towards the Southern Conference or something a little bit more Southern located, but hopefully that's something they're going to be working on in the not too distant future. We're going to be back here to wrap up this edition of Palmetto Sports Daily, coming up right after this. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Now, Rick mentioned yesterday he played in Shane Beamer's Birdies with Beamer event over in Columbia, so that brought up the question, who would be the best coach to play a round of golf with? Caroline, I'm going to let you answer first.
Oh, you really put me on the spot here, Kevin. Well, thankfully, I've been thinking about this, and I am going to go with Dan Hurley, because you know what? There's no way that a round of golf with Dan Hurley is not going to be entertaining. You know that there's probably going to be some colorful language. You know that things are not going to go well, and he's just going to lose it, and it's just going to be fantastic. So, going to rope Ella in here too real quick. Go,
hello, everybody.
go.
Okay, I'm going to say, as we're sitting in dead stop traffic, I want someone who can talk my ear off. I'm going to go Dabo Sweeney.
Okay, and over to Rick.
Okay, producer Nick, roll the video. This is video of me playing with Steve Spurrier in his media golf tournament in 2012. He loves to win. He won the tournament the year before, and he reminded us about it. We got off to a slow start. We finished tied for second at 8 under, 2 shots off the lead.
Woo!
I feel like Spurrier would have cheated to win his own golf tournament just to make sure he's atop the standings. By the way, the answer is Larry Bird. That's going to do it for Palmetto Sports Daily. We will see you back here on Monday.